Gather round. It's time for your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group at Coldwell Banker Burnett. Listen closely as your coaches discuss the culture, the economy, and the political scene, and how it affects your home and your real estate investments. Real Estate Chalk Talk is where you learn the science of buying and selling real estate and the art of living in your home. Your education begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome to the program. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk, broadcasting from the Rack Shack Barbecue Studios in Eagan, Minnesota. Sauces of the legendary Rack Shack Barbecue, available from the nicer grocery stores in the Twin Cities and barbecue specialty stores, and online at rackshackbarbecue.com. And this is your Real Estate Chalk Talk.
Too much, right?
We are coming from the, what is it, 23 now?
It's 2023.
23.
Welcome.
Welcome to 23. I actually wrote a check yesterday and appropriately dated it.
Good job.
Yep, January, whatever it was, 23.
4th is my birthday. Thanks
yeah,
for all
how'd
the
that
cards
go?
and
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Happy
flowers.
birthday.
Thank you, everybody.
Send cash.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everybody.
So we're starting off 2023. I am contrarian to the rest of the real estate community. I read a lot. So I read
So
a
that
lot.
means you're a contrarian if you read a lot?
I know, but
He has
all
info
the
for us.
blogs that we have been reading, all the things, they're all like, the sky is falling, buckle down, eliminate your expenses, stop doing this, a lot of blog sites are posts on things that we should stop doing, which tells me he probably wasn't, if he should stop doing it now, you probably shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. It's kind of the way I look at it. And I'm contrarian.
Do everything.
Do it
Hire
all.
people. Sign new leases on expanded space.
Take
Exactly.
big space, a
Go
lot of
for it.
office space.
Yep. Buy a new car.
Buy a new car. Get that new printer you've been wanting.
That's right. Do it all. Just go all in. Commit. Make the commitment that you're going to work this year, because the people who work and actually do real estate the way real estate should be done are going to have a fantastic years. The people who have been waiting to be spoon-fed and for the phone to ring so that they can write up an order, they're going to get out of the business. They're going to have to go sell shoes someplace because they're not going to make it.
Mm-hmm. What's the long-term outlook here? What do you think?
What long term are you talking about?
Pick
Which
something.
long term?
Inventory, interest rates,
For this year?
overall sales, long-term. That's short-term.
Well, I mean, okay, so long term, like in the 5-year window?
Yeah,
All
what's
right.
going to happen between now and the next 5 years?
I th-
Because right now, and I'll preface this,
Mm-hmm.
right now we're at a position where inventory is increasing.
Mm-hmm.
We hit our low point. We're higher than we
Right.
were
A year ago.
a year ago.
Yeah.
For a few months now, and we had a good 10-year decline in overall inventory, 10, 12 years,
Mm-hmm.
and the other way with values. So we know that real estate runs in cycles. So what is the outlook now for the next 5 years? Do we think we're just going to clip along the bottom here, or are we going to continue to see inventory increase?
Okay, so I put on my, what I look at is I look at the upcoming generation. And there's a couple of groups and I don't know what their names are. What's the generation?
Gen Y,
Gen
Z,
Ys and Gen Zs
X,
and some of those
X,
generations.
Y, and Z.
Some of those generations have more people than the baby boomers did.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still a huge group of people coming that are going to need housing. That's never going to end. People are still going to get married. They're going to get jobs. They're going to live. They're going to raise a family. None of that stuff is ever going to stop. So with that in mind, the real estate effort, if you will, or the industry will continue to roll on. Houses age out, they get tore down, areas get redeveloped. All that activity continues to go on. So the real estate industry per se is not going to go away. It just isn't. It's certainly going to change on how we as individual real estate agents do business. That has changed only because of technology. Technology has made how we work a little bit differently, but the fundamentals of what we do have remained the same. It's still a people business. And just like anyone who is going to get involved in a major decision or transaction or whatever, they turn to people that they trust in order to make a good, wise decision. And no computer algorithm is proven itself to be able to do that, as evidenced by some of the most notables on the internet, having billion-dollar losses because they relied on computer algorithms and they just don't work.
Okay. For values?
For values and for saleability and for whatever. I mean, they've tried to. There's a concerted effort to get the real estate agent out of the transaction, to make it a completely seamless transaction from start to finish without the need of any people. And it completely disregards the fact that it's the real estate agents that's on the ground in the neighborhood, seeing what's going on in and out of the houses. You can have two homes sitting side by side, and one is worth $20,000 more than the one next door. Why is that? It's built by the same builder. It's got the same floor plan. And why is that one worth more? Well, it's because someone has actually gone in the house and saw that the kitchen has been updated, and saw that that they've done a little remodeling and put that main level bathroom in, or what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
It's
so people will need real estate agents. That wasn't my question.
Right. Well, you said what's going to happen in 5 years.
But I love you and I appreciate the information, and I think you're spot on. What do you think is going to happen with inventory now that we've kind of come off a 12-year cycle of value increases? We've seen unprecedented low interest rates, and now we're starting to see inventory turn the other way. If you look at a line graph, if you can imagine one, and one's starting in my left hand and one's ending in my right hand, and you see inventory start at a high point like a mountain, and now it's at this low point where it's been kind of bumping around and starting to come up the other way. Are we going to see a swell in inventory? We talked about this 2 years ago.
Not a swell.
Okay.
Not a swell. If you look at those charts, and I have, there's a direct correlation between interest rates and inventory. As the interest rates went down, so did the inventory. So as the interest rates come up, fewer people obviously can afford to buy, and it's going to compress that market. But the market still is the same. So are homes going to take a little bit longer to sell? Yep. Is inventory going to come up to a more traditional level? I think, we historically have always seen 10,000 homes for sale, 8,000 homes for sale. Now you're sitting at 5,000 homes for sale, and you've got more people. That's not sustainable either. So it's a matter of two things, really. New construction to build. Outlining areas going to get gobbled up. You're going to see that push again in the exoburbs to do.
There'll definitely be pricing adjustments in
the core cities and older ones, you bet. And we already have.
Well, there'll be price adjustments in the exoburbs.
Down or up?
Down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because you have to pay to drive.
Yeah.
Right.
We saw that when we were building them. I was building in Northfield.
Because there are other economic factors in play here outside of just interest rates on mortgages, right?
Right. Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
It's livability. Think of this. I'll go back 10 years. There was a big drive to go out to hobby farms. It was a big deal.
Yep.
Canterbury was on. Everybody wanted to have a horse farm and all that stuff. People moved out there. Then they realized it was 45 minutes to go get a gallon of milk. They soon started moving back in. Back into the city.
What do you think on appreciation going forward? Because the estimates that we see in the data we see say 1% this year, if that. Pretty flat, and 1 to 2% for the next couple of years. Is that kind of what you think?
That. I think it's more in line with inflation rate, to be honest with you.
Well, inflation's 8-9%. You think values are going to go up another 8 or 9%?
Values were at 8% year over year this year. That's nationally 8%.
Yeah, we know that. But going forward,
going forward. I think the inflation talk is kind of peaked as far as inflation talk goes, and now your underlying demand for housing we've suffered through 6 months of inflation shock. I think that's more or less past. As we come into the spring market, I think you're going to see not a market like we have in the past where it's like on fire, but it's going to be a good market. It's going to be a robust market. and people are been waiting. There's still people in apartment buildings that want to get out. There's still people that graduate from college that want to get out. You know, it's the 5 Ds, you know, that we talked about the other
Right.
day for people. What are they, Kelvin?
What are they? Diamonds, diapers,
Diplomas,
device.
diamonds. Yeah, it starts with diplomas.
Yeah. Well, depends how you do it, but now you messed me up.
Okay,
So.
diplomas.
Okay. Do you want me to do them, or
Go
do you
ahead.
want to do
Go
them?
ahead.
Okay, because it's
You go so
diapers.
slow.
It's diamonds, diapers, divorce, diplomas, death. Right.
That's right.
So-
And all that stuff is still going to go on.
So
Yeah.
if you recently kicked the bucket, give us a call.
That's right.
Give us a call.
612
Probate.
38
Reach out.
Or 6127. What day?
612-627-8000. 612-627-8000. You had 2 weeks off. You
Yeah,
forgot
2
the
weeks
number.
off. I'm saying my number, your number. Hit us up online at hittnergroup.com, HITTNER group.com. And we'll be right back. Way more polished than this time.
It's tough.
Chalk Talk. Welcome back to the program. Good morning, boys.
Hello.
I got to tell you a little story. So, a couple years ago, I was involved with a builder, and we were building a house out in Woodbury. And the whole house was this high energy efficiency home. That was the shtick. Spray foamed insulation in the walls everywhere, and that thing was tight as you can imagine. I mean, you would walk in there, it was just, you could just feel it. During construction. Even it was tight. So I go downstairs. One time I was checking on whatever during construction, and there was water on the floor. The thing was so tight that the water coming out of the concrete, it couldn't evaporate off. So I mean, they, for your Van E systems, the air-to-air exchangers, I mean, they need that system in that house because that house does not breathe. Which made me a little bit nervous about it because I like that idea because it
Being super locked up and tight.
yeah, because it costs
Spray foamed and plastic
$2
wrapped and
$2
caulked
a
up.
month to heat it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
But it's got to breathe too.
But it has to breathe too. That's what the artificial lungs are for, and that's
Yeah.
your Van E systems, your air-to-air exchangers, whatever company you use and however it is. But you've got a couple of houses coming on the market in South Minnie, and Minneapolis has this new part of their code compliance. So
Yep.
talk about that.
Yeah, truth and sale housing inspections are required to be done in some communities. Minneapolis is one of them. St. Paul's another. Some of the first-ring suburbs are getting rid of them. Some are adding them.
Yeah.
So you always have to just check with your real estate agent on if you need one of those. And if you need a real estate agent, you can, of course, call us at 612-627-8000. But I have a couple listings coming on the market in Minneapolis. And so part of that process in advance of it coming on the market when working with sellers is to work with our inspection companies to do truth and sale housing inspection. And Minneapolis requires that you have an energy audit done on the property. This is new, I think last year, maybe it was 2021 or 2019.
Right.
Definitely not 2020. They didn't implement anything new over the COVID scenario. Everything kind of shut down there, but it was fairly recent in our world of selling real estate. And so they were drilling holes in the wall in a closet to check for insulation at all. Some homes in Minneapolis are not insulated.
Right.
How?
Because they were built in 1920 or
right.
1868.
And it just disintegrates, or they just didn't use
They just
it
didn't
at that
have it.
They
time?
just didn't use it. So,
Right.
and some of them are insulated with newspaper.
That's right.
So you see old newspapers crumpled up in the walls and that type of thing. And then some people have actually gone in and then retrofitted the home with spray foam or blown-in cellulose insulation,
Wow.
which is ideal if you can go in. So you go in either outside. Sometimes you'll see holes drilled on
Right.
the outside of the stucco homes,
Right.
And they just
and then they never painted over it or really did a good
Yep.
job of blending the stucco material on the outside. Then they just blow in up and down and insulate the walls. So that's part of the process. We don't insulate walls at that time. We just need to know what we have, what we're selling. And so somebody's not blindly purchasing a home with zero insulation in the state of Minnesota. I think that's why they did it. They're not charging anything more, I believe, for TISHs, but it's an inspection fee anyways. And then that stuff gets sent into the city, and then the reports get sent out. So the houses that I'm working on, one is actually built in 1892 or something like this.
Wow.
Super old home, used to be a duplex, and it was converted to a single-family home back in 2015, I believe, by the investor that bought the property and did a full renovation, including insulation in the walls and insulation in the ceilings. However, after purchase, I helped these folks buy this house back in 2016 after the renovation was complete, and they ended up doing more insulation. So they redid the attic insulation and changed out some windows, which offer more R value, more energy efficient, doors in the property that were more energy efficient. And so they send back this test for the energy audit. And a lot of times we're seeing 20s and 30s. I just sold another house that was built in 1929, Craftsman bungalow on 2nd Street in Minneapolis, just right off the highway. And cute little house, had open eaves. It's just an adorable little Craftsman bungalow. That house came back at like a 25 score out of 100, which means it's not efficient at all. That's tough. It's very low efficient from an energy standpoint. Right. And so, you're putting forth like, hey, buyer, you might want to improve the energy efficiency of this house if this is something that interests you.
Now, what do you think that impact that has? I mean, when people see these reports, consumers, buyers, they see these reports, one of them has a score of 100, one of them has a score of 20.
Yeah.
How much impact do you think that has on their buying decision?
So both of these homes that we're putting on, one was a 2016 build. It was basically new construction. They got a score of 100. So that's very good, very energy efficient. The 1892 one I did, Calvin, what do you think the score is?
35.
It's 92 because of the renovation, because of the work that they did. So they're both very energy efficient, right? I think that to answer your question, Senior, 2 years ago, it's 2023 now, so 2021 didn't matter at all. No impact, whether it was more energy efficient or not. Looking at my strategy and selling these two homes in quite a different market in the wintertime, in the city of Minneapolis, for fairly expensive homes for the neighborhoods that they're in, because they're both very large. They have a lot of bedrooms and bathrooms, and they're both
What kind of price point? Yeah,
it's $500,000
on both of them.
Well, one's like $470, the other one's like $520. So yeah, about $500,000 for both of them, and they're very similar homes yet different. 2016 build, 1892 build, but the 1892 looks like the 2016 build house. The 1892 build home is larger. There's more bedrooms, there's more baths. It's fully finished, where the other one has an unfinished basement. So they're very comparable. Both have 2-car garages. They're 2 blocks from each other. They're great homes, right?
What a great comparison.
But the energy audits that are done, I think, are more impactful for people in their buying decisions now, because buyers are being more discerning. They're looking at their interest rates. They're looking at how much money they're putting down. They're not throwing $30,000, $40,000, $60,000 in cash at a purchase right now.
And they don't have the
and
pressure.
Not caring about, because they're getting a 1.9% interest rate. When we're at 7%, or I don't even know what the interest rates are. I've been sleeping for 2 weeks. With interest rates at that high of levels, people are just being more discerning. They're paying more for groceries. Their gas bills are expensive. Their, maintenance on their car, doing anything is more costly. Buying a pair of socks. I bought a pair of socks. I'm going to just for a second digress. I went to get a pair of socks, 6 pairs of socks, $20. And these aren't like nice socks. They're Hanes gym socks. $20 for 6 pairs of socks.
That's a pretty good deal. That's awesome.
And bubblegum used to be a nickel, but things are more expensive, right? And so these decisions are they're weighing on people more. And so the TISH reports in advance are nice, and they've both passed with flying colors, certificate of occupancies, the whole bit. But the energy audits will become more important when people are making their decisions.
Funny you said that, because Kelvin and I went and had coffee a couple of days ago, and it was 2 cups of coffee and a piece of coffee cake, and it was $20. And it's
just like, this is ridiculous.
$20 for a cup of coffee.
Yeah. My family goes out to dinner.
I'll meet you there Thursday again.
My family goes out to dinner, no alcohol. It's $110, $120 for my family, and we're going to like Chili's.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been to a Chili's in 20 years, but you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like we're going to Ruth's Chris and having dinner. And these are kids' meals we're buying. It's, I have 3 children and a wife and me, and it's $100 to $120 to go
Well,
out
your
to have a meal. Food.
point, just to get back to real estate, your point of the buyers being more discerning now is so exactly spot on. The urgency to purchase is gone.
There's the fuel in the market is completely.
Yeah,
it's just a little ember.
It's just a little ember. I mean, people now you'll see them. They'll go look at a house. They'll want to think about it overnight.
Yeah.
Then you call them the next day, and what do you think? You want to do? Well, can we go back and look at it again?
Yep.
Which I think is fabulous.
Sure.
For someone
great.
to walk into a house and glance around for 15 minutes and then run out and write a purchase agreement
for 60 over the asking price.
For 60 over
with
that,
no inspection.
That makes you a little nervous, I mean,
it's fantastic, isn't it? So back in October of 2021 is when I started getting calls on listings on Mondays again.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is I would go show property over the weekend, and then on Monday, Tuesday, I was getting calls from agents like, "Hey, what'd you think?"
Yeah.
And we didn't do that for a solid 2 years.
Yeah.
And so that's when we really started seeing it turn. We had our last little pop at the beginning of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Interest rates started increasing heavily in like February, March, and since then it's been just kind of a slow trickle of market change, and it'll continue to do so, and we're always here for you no matter what the market. So give us a call at 612-627-8000 or log on to our website, hittnergroup.com, HITTNER group.com, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the program. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk. Thanks for staying with us. Real Estate Chalk Talk is brought to you by the sauces of the legendary Rack Shack Barbecue, available at nicer grocery stores and barbecue specialty stores across the Twin Cities. If you don't see it in the store, ask the store manager, what's wrong with you? Aren't you a nicer store? And they'll order it right up for you.
Shame them into ordering.
Shame them into ordering.
Rack Shack sauces for their shelves.
All right, 612-627-8000 is the number to call if you have a real estate question or need. Okay, last segment we were talking about how the market is, shifting. People are being more thoughtful, taking a little bit more time. That whole environment then spills over into the marketing side of a listing on what steps that you take now to make that property available and known to the general public. One of the tools that we used as the market got hotter and hotter, because of the lack of marketing time that we would have, there was a coming soon category that was created where we could let the public know that a property was going to be coming on the market in whatever it was, 14 days or some time period. And then so that people could view the property, but they could not actually go in and look at it. You couldn't show it. It was just out there to make the public aware that this property was coming for sale.
Yeah, and the way that came about is because of pocket listings being deemed as
So tell us what a
unfair,
pocket listing is. Okay,
right?
explain what that is.
So a pocket
I think
listing
those make
is
a ton of sense.
I have listings that I have signed listing agreements with, but I'm not marketing them widely to the general public. But I will tell
you
you
will.
about it, and I
Okay.
might email my database, and I might call my Remax buddy and my Coldwell Banker friends in our office, and maybe I might mail something to an apartment building, and so I'm marketing the property, but not to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so what came about from that activity, or I would run ads on social media or Google pay-per-clicks or whatever it is. I'm marketing the property, but I'm not putting it into the multiple listing service
Mm-hmm.
where it's disseminated widely then to all these websites. So what was said is that's not really fair. You can't mail to this neighborhood and not that neighborhood. You
Right.
can't tell these people and not those people.
Well, who said that, though?
Somebody said that, thought it was a good idea to not make that, to say that that's not fair. And then so from that, people said, well, I'm preparing. There is a real situation. That's a real situation, too. I don't want to discount that. But there's also a real situation where we're getting new carpet. We're painting the walls.
Right.
We're putting, getting some landscaping done. We're preparing the
Right.
home for sale. We intend to put the house on the multiple listing service and do all the other things, all the other arrows in the quiver of marketing that we do. But in advance of that, we'd like people to know about it, so we can maybe get some showing activity going,
Mm-hmm.
and just start the buzz with the property
Right.
and generate some pent-up demand for it. And then when it's available, we get a lot of showings on the house as we want to.
Many times you'll have showings actually scheduled for the
scheduled in
on-market
advance.
date.
So we have this coming soon category now where we can put homes in that are in preparation. You cannot show the property during that time to anybody. I think, can we show it ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
We can show it ourselves as an agent, but like, you as on a realty agent can't come in and look at the property during that time. And, so with that then.
So the change now with this market is 2 years ago or a year ago when we put that house on the market coming soon, we would have abundant activity, lots of inquiries, and agents, which is the best part, agents would be scheduling showings for that on-market date or shortly thereafter, a day or two after. So we would put a $400,000 house on coming soon, and it was not uncommon to have 20 or 25 showings scheduled for that first weekend of the on-market time. Well, I put a house on the market recently and as coming soon, and I had none.
Yeah, it's no real
Zero.
impact in whether you just put it on Thursday night
You might as well just put it
or
on.
put it on Monday as coming soon up to
Right.
Thursday. Because of the urgency factor.
Right.
I mean, we talked
Right.
last segment about the urgency and the wind just being taken out of the sails of how robust and quick and competitive the market was. That urgency is gone, and so there is no, wake up and check the internet for the new listings and contact all our people, and do you have anything new coming on? It's going to come on the market,
Yeah.
and you'll have an opportunity to do it. And that's what's nice about working with buyers in a market like this. The interest rate thing will work out, right? And that'll help it'll resolve itself a little bit. We'll settle into a number that, at
Makes
some
sense.
point, hopefully. But we sold homes at 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 6, 8%, whatever. We'll do some buy downs. We'll do some this, that, and the other thing. What it's doing is it's really helping buyers to make those more discerning decisions on purchasing real estate. So, if you're in an apartment complex right now, or if you have maybe a split level home that you want to upgrade to a 2-story and you're sitting on, a crap load of equity in your split level.
Right.
There's a lot of demand for those split level homes right now because they're less expensive. So when you're looking at interest rates and parsing numbers on budgets and things like that, those properties become more popular. And so if you have one of those and you're sitting on a good amount of equity, you're in a pretty good position to be making a move in a market right now where you can do some negotiating on that next purchase, right?
Right.
There's a lot of people that are in very good spots.
Just to punctuate what you're talking about, Keith, last year during this week versus this year, we're down on this last week of the year, we are down 30% from a year ago in terms of the number of properties that went pending this week. And our days on market went down, went up. It was 50 days on market was the average days on market for homes that sold this week or went pending this week. So that's a significant change from the 6 hours that was a couple of years ago, and that urgency is gone, and people can make more thoughtful decisions in their buying process. From a marketing standpoint, what tools do you think are going to come back into play now that we just haven't been able to use as opposed to a couple of years ago that now we can to help promote the market?
Well, I would say
is it open house?
Yeah, I'd say open houses
tool?
for sure are going to be.
Tool?
You'll see more open houses. You'll see more concessions to being advertised. So, like, say we're working with a seller and have a conversation with them at the listing time to say, we'll pay for a warranty, we'll kick in some closing costs, we'll advertise an interest rate buy down. So those types of marketing initiatives, because if we look at where the seller is financially and what they're going to walk away from the property with a realistic number, using some of that financial information to put together a marketing plan for that property that's going to entice the type of buyer that we want to purchase the home,
Right.
or any buyer that we want to purchase the home by giving them some sort of carrot, like I just said. Those things I think are definitely coming back. And then those aren't just giveaways. Those are tools to be used to market the property. That's my thought process on them. The seller, whoever out there is thinking, oh, you're just giving stuff away. No, we're being more thoughtful about what it is that we're giving away to that general buyer that's going to be purchasing that property.
Right.
Yeah, and with that, the open house. I mean, I'm holding an open house this weekend out in Eden Prairie, and we'll see what kind of. I'm a little bit worried about the weather now. I mean, with the snow, I haven't seen the forecast for today.
It's just going to get cold now and no snow for a while. So
that's super duper. So I'll be fine. People will be out and about.
I think the plows.
People are attending open houses again.
Yeah,
you know,
I think they are too.
Yeah, there's traffic at the open houses, and I have. Of course, I've been doing this a long time, but I actually like doing open houses. It's one of those tactile, hands-on things that you can do. And it says, I'm marketing this property, I'm here in the property, I'm demonstrating the product that I've got for sale. I know the property. When people come in, I can walk them through and point out features and benefits of the property that a buyer's agent that come waltzing through with, worried about getting to their next appointment just maybe doesn't have the time or the awareness or the expertise to do. And so an open house gives you that opportunity to do that. Even with like most people, they're working with an agent. I don't care. I mean, I want to get people excited about the property.
Another thing is the price that you market the property at is important. You could hardly miss in 2021.
Right.
At the beginning of the year there in the second half of 2020, I mean, you could throw
You'd miss low.
Yeah, well, you might.
Would always miss low.
You could hardly miss.
Yeah.
The market's going to dictate value, and the buyer is, the one that's buying the house, and they'll pay what they're willing to pay for the house, and that's what market is.
Probably won't have any appraisal issues coming up this year.
Yeah,
right?
probably
not.
not.
You've got a lot of nice comps with markets leveling
when we
out.
see declines, though, we see appraisal issues too. But we're not seeing. I don't think we're going to see major declines. So I don't think we're going to have much for issues with financing aside from qualifying with high interest rates.
But pricing is very important. I mean, this is not any time of our industry in our cycle to get over your skis on price.
Right.
I mean, you're going to get bit, and there's no tolerance for an overpriced house. There's no tolerance for a house that's not well prepared for sale.
Yeah, with higher market time is more important to shorten up wherever you can. So give us a call on our phone line, 612-627-8000, 612-627-8000, or visit us online at hittnergroup.com.
But we're going to wrap.
Money in the bank.
Rates are good. Pretty exciting.
You know why? Why?
Free money. You understand what I'm saying?
Thanks for staying with us. Welcome back to the program. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk. In the money segment of the program, brought to you by the world-class, world-famous Calvin Kamick Loan Depot. 651-231-2500. That's the number to call for the best rates in the continental United States. 651-231-2500. Low costs, low interest rates. Money is so cheap it's almost free.
Almost free. But you're going to notice it a little bit more than you did, right?
A little more.
A little more. Not bad.
More.
So it's pretty funny. This morning I'm reading, and January 5th on MSB Highway, the Fed minutes, they reviewed the Fed minutes, and then we also looked at ADP reports. So that's what's driving rates this morning to have rates go up because things are looking better, and the government doesn't want things to look better. So it's pretty interesting. I'll just read this segment here. It just said the Fed minutes showed that the Fed is focused on wage growth and are waiting for job market to get worse. How crazy. The Fed wanted more jobs, so they poured gasoline on inflation. But now they want people to lose their jobs to bring down inflation that they created.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a crazy cycle, and then they go through all the different Fed presidents and what they're saying, and they just say in here it doesn't take an economist to understand when the federal government spends $5 trillion over 2 years. The central bank finances most of it by buying bonds. It's going to dramatically put a surge on pricing those bonds, and you see what's happening just on the political scene right now, just with the Republicans trying to take over the House, and even inside the Republican Party right now, there's such this contrast. Like, you guys continue to agree with all this spending, $5 trillion, right? And we're just like we're supposed to not do that.
Right.
We're not gonna. So you got these people holding out, saying no, just no.
Think how wonderful it would be if they stayed in gridlock like this for the whole 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
2 years,
and quite honestly, both parties.
Yeah,
both parties.
2 years of just let's just get up in the morning and go to work, and do our jobs and stuff, and not try to tweak and change and screw with stuff all the time.
So, and then the ADP employment report came out, up 235,000 jobs, job growth.
Mm-hmm.
They anticipate 150,000, right, new jobs. So it's like, oh my gosh, jobs are growing. This is, and it's just
Can't be having that.
Can't be having that, and that's what they're saying. That's why they think they're going to continue. They're saying they want the Fed funds rate up higher. Clearly, we have to go higher in order to stop this growth and to stop. And I'm just like, my goodness.
The point is that the Fed funds rate, when you stop to think about it, what does that really have to do with job growth? I mean, the only thing that they can do is try to crush the the housing sector.
Well, housing sector and the ability for large corporations to borrow money at a reasonable rate, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's all motivated to help slow the economy down. They want to see people losing jobs. I just don't get the mentality. I mean, we're at Loan Depot, right? We're a large company, and so they have furloughed because it is slow, right? We're down 85% on refinances, 46% last year down on purchases. So that's dramatic when you have a whole consumer direct portion of a company, right? So they've laid off over 5,000 people. All operations is furloughed. We're like, oh, they get a little bit more time off. Oh, that's not a big deal. It's a big freaking deal.
Yeah.
So I'm like all over our guys just saying, God, we got to get we have like 4 local processors here on our team, and they're all working 32 hours. But what happens is all these people they're paid a base salary, but they're paid a bonus. And when you're not closing a lot of loans, you don't bonus out. And now all these 4 people are saying, hey, I got to get a second job. I don't know if I can keep this job. So we kind of oh man, that's too bad, but it's a big.
So you can
it's a big deal.
Yeah, you want to have busy processors, and if
you got to have busy people, which means we have to have a busy market, which means we got to be going out finding every deal.
So how does that juxtapose against this job growth? If you're just talking about the layoffs.
Well, I'm talking about our specific industry.
But that industry is, that message is being heard all across the tech sector.
Yeah. Well, if you look at where it's happening, it's small companies. We're up 195,000. We're up, and that's 1 to 49 employees. So it's all these small companies, mid-sized companies. Large companies were down 151,000 in jobs. So large companies are laying people off, furloughing, doing these sorts of things. Small companies
are finally getting the people that they've been trying to get.
Right. And so it's just kind of shifting people around a little bit. But I'm just always just so disappointed when you just look at how we're run sometimes, and we just have to live in it, and we've been okay in it, but it sure has a big impact on people's lives, and we got to realize that piece. Things that are happening on our front, so rates continue to be okay, but they've ticked up again. So we're 6.5. 6.5 is a good rate right now, where it was like, we're almost at 5.99, or we buy down to 5.99. So, so that's kind of disappointing. We were hoping we'd just kind of get there. We think this year, when we were talking about forecasting, we believe that by the end of 2023 we'll be high 4s, low 5s in that range, and that would be that'd be a really nice spot to we're okay there, right? I mean, I think we can all live there really, really well, but we have a ways to go on that for sure. So
get ourselves into an election year.
Yep, a little bit, right? Some of the things that we're seeing on appreciation we talked about earlier, we think the real estate will stay at 1 to 2% for the next 2-3 years. That's what every estimate is that we're receiving. Now, I know yours will fly off the year. You'll probably be up 23% to match the year, but but for us,
there's no reason to believe that real estate and housing, which is represents about 30% of the business activity in this country, would track that much below the inflation rate. It just doesn't make economic sense that would be that way.
I'm just saying what we're hearing, and we'll see. And your point that inflation we're not hearing much is because it's Biden versus Biden versus Biden versus Trump inflation. So you're right, and we knew this was coming. We said the last big one was going to be October, and then stuff just all plays out. It all plays out. So now inflation isn't that big a deal. Inflation's still running 8 to 9%. So things we're doing to help accommodate this right now, we're still using buy downs quite a bit. So a 1-0 buy down is basically just saying we're going to start 1% under. So if we're at 6.5, we start at 5.5. when people talk about a 2-1 buy down, then we're like your rate 6.5. We're going to start at 4.5, 5.5. We'll end at 6.5. Now there's a 3-2-1. So you get to see these people. It's 3-2-1. We're going to start at the. Well, it's really expensive to do that, and then you're kind of outside that 3% because a 2-1 buy down costs about just a little bit over 2 points, 2% of the loan amount. So think about that. So
and how's that paid? Is that just added onto the mortgage or
no
cost?
Cost. Yeah, it's just like seller paid closing costs. So we
Okay.
just say, hey, let's get 3% seller paid closing costs. We're seeing it quite a bit again on a lot of the transactions coming in. So we have 3% to work with. So then the conversation we have with our borrowers, like, how do we want to use this? Do you want to offset your closing costs, or would you like to use some of these dollars to get
To have
that
a long-term
to take
benefit.
to take that rate down? And it's a I was just doing one $350,000 purchase price. It's $200 a month difference in payment, and then it goes up 200, then it goes up 200 in the third year. So it is a significant difference in.
do you
payment
see that?
stuff.
Because you're talking about you have a couple of statements here that don't agree with one another. One of them is they're saying that inflation is going to be, or housing appreciation is going to be 1%, maybe 2%.
Yep. Housing appreciation,
Right.
the value.
So now
Yep.
so now I'm a seller.
Yep.
And I got my house on the market, and now you're coming to me and saying, well, I want 3% for seller paid closing costs. Well, if my house is only appreciating 1%, how can I give up 3?
Well,
So-
you've made 10, 11 the last 2-3 years. 10% appreciation, 10% appreciation.
Yeah,
Haven't you?
so we'll take
Right.
some of that.
So
Yeah,
we're
so
just
you
going to take some of
that.
that appreciation
But
that you've
but
had over
I'm
the last.
thinking as a seller, I'm thinking, no, I'm not. So you just add that on to the mortgage. Add it on the price. We're not going to have a problem with appraisals, that's for sure. So let's just add it on top
Yep.
of the price.
You can try that
Now
game.
it got
Yep.
now it got financed in, and my home just sold for 3% more than I would have sold it for had I not had to deal with that. So that becomes now one of the ingredients for costing out what the appreciation has been. So I'm at 3%.
Do you
Yep.
think that that's happening though? Because it hasn't happened in my experience.
What do you mean?
Well, in my experience, I've been able to negotiate the price lower on purchases.
Right. That's what we're seeing
Depending
right
on the
now.
price point.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think
We haven't I haven't seen any since the shift in
Stacking
rates.
her on top.
I haven't seen anybody stacking on top
No.
right now. Not yet. But we've done that in the past. I mean, we've done
Yeah,
those
when,
things in the past.
when you're in an increasing value environment, and you need to have some of this going on.
Yep.
The last 2 years aside, of course, because people are choosing from 30 offers.
Right.
But as we're like in 2019, in 2018, we had a very good real estate market. 17.6, we had a very good real estate market. There's a lot of adding things
Yeah,
to
lots.
the top of the deal. Then
I'm just thinking that when you're talking to a seller and you say, that $400,000 split, she's $385 now.
hey, inventory's up, interest rates are crap. There's more buyer activity. They're being more discerning. Values will soften.
Right. So that's
Period.
$385 now. He wants another 3% for himself.
Yep, that's the way it
For
goes.
himself, for me.
You
Yeah, I
telling
wanna
me when
take
you
that
go and
off.
have a conversation with a seller that these aren't things that you're talking
It
about
is,
as,
exactly.
as
That's my
very
point.
realistic scenarios that we could come across.
Yep.
So in preparation with the seller,
We're
it's
gonna have these
We're probably
conversations.
going to have these conversations. It doesn't mean inflate the price.
No,
it's
you
just
can't.
the reality of the market right now, and you have to
Right.
be careful with all that. Any last point, Calvin?
No, just give us a call. Let's have conversations. We're getting busier. We're seeing our applications coming up, which is great, and we're having conversations again. So we're really hopeful on this new year, and we think we'll have another fantastic year.
Call
But
Calvin at 651-231-2500, 651-231-2500, and that's it for this week. See you next week.